Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the week of January 14th through the 20th. Today is Saturday, January 20th. So this week we had our Monochrome Manga Club meeting. So that was really nice. It was our first meeting back because in December we had our meeting online. And so it was really nice to see everybody, and we had some good discussions, so that was fun. Work was work. But yeah, I was able to finish reading a couple of things for the Monochrome Manga Club, so I'll share my thoughts with you on those, and then I am in the middle of a couple of things. I'll let you know where I'm at. I do have a Yarnie update to share with you, and I have a very small yarn haul, so let's get into it. So this week, like I said, I finished the Monochrome Manga Club reads because we had our meeting, and so I finished volumes 22, 23, and 24 of Fullmetal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. This one's published by Viz Rated Teen. So this one follows the Elric brothers, and they're trying to fix a wrong that they had done when they were kids. And while they are doing that, they have uncovered this conspiracy. And it's just really interesting. We're almost at the end. Next month, we will be reading the final 3 volumes. And so I'm really looking forward to it. This volume read faster, I would say, than the previous volumes, just because things are really ramping up as we get towards the end. There's a lot of fight scenes, and I think inherently when you have a lot of fight scenes, things move faster. But I'm really, really enjoying this series, and I am looking forward to finishing this one out. I have, like I said, seen the anime, both anime adaptations. Really enjoyed them. And I'm looking forward to seeing that on page and seeing if there's anything like maybe extra that may be included in the last pages of this series, because, things like that could happen. And I'm really just looking forward to not only finishing the series, having another series, completed, and just finishing like a classic series. This has always been a series that I had intended on reading, and I just never, grabbed for it because I was always reading something else. But one really good thing about running the manga club is that I am, completing series. We are completing series, and I'm getting to talk about it with people in real life, which has been a lot of fun. And so, yes, really looking forward to the last 3 volumes in February. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. So I decided to add another thing that I'm using to get some stats this year into my repertoire for the year. And so that is to use Callpile, which is a rating system that G over at Book Roast has released over the last several years. I never really wanted to use Callpile because I found that the rating system at the time was too finicky for me, and I have a really hard time making decisions. And so when you ask me, how I thought of certain aspects of the series, those things that they're asking on the forum really don't matter to me. To me, my overall feeling on the read is what I think it should be rated at. But because I wanted to get a few extra stats that Callpile gives, I decided to go ahead and start using it. Now, Fullmetal, I think, was the first thing that I actually used the rating system on. And for the entirety of me reading this series, it's always been a 4-star for me. I really enjoyed it. But it's not a love. I don't see myself rereading this every other year type of thing. Do you know what I mean? I will definitely probably reread this one in the future, but I don't see this one as one that I'm going to do annual rereads of, or, it's going to be one that I reread every other year or at that, So for me, that's a 4-star read. But when putting it into Callpile, This one ended up a 4.5. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I did go ahead and upgrade my rating on Storygraph. I'm not going to retroactively change my rating. But normally what happens is that I will typically round up on my ratings on Goodreads because Goodreads doesn't offer half stars. So I put this in as a 4-star on Goodreads. But with the 4.5 star, I should round up my rating on Goodreads. Now, I'm not really going to do that because I'm using a story graph for both my novels and my manga separately. I'm just going to leave my Goodreads rating where it is because Compile has 2 columns. They have your rating and then they have, if you want to use half stars, this is what it should be. I'm just going to go with the regular number because that's what Goodreads offers. And so whatever number is in that column is the number that I'm going to use for Goodreads. So yes, that will change my overall rating average, I guess, but I'm just going to leave it. It gets too complicated if I have to go and change my rating all over the place. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's what it's going to be done. But I was very surprised that this ended up as a 4.5 when, for me, when I think about this, it's not something that I would, like I said, reread all the time. For me, a 4.5 is something that I would probably reread maybe every other year. It was almost perfect, but it wasn't quite there. For me, this series is not that, but the Compile rating says that it is. So, in any case, whatever it is, I'm just going to go with the flow. This doesn't need to be very complicated, but yeah, 4.5 stars on Storygraph, 4 stars on Goodreads. So then we started a new series read this month for the Monochrome Manga Club. And normally when we start new series reads, I put it in the first impressions video. However, these 2 volumes that we read were not first reads for me. I have read volumes 1 and 2 of Assassination Classroom before. Granted, it's been several years since I have read the volumes, but I have also watched most of the anime. So it's not new material for me, and therefore it wouldn't be a first impressions. So I'm going to share my thoughts with you on Assassination Classroom here. This story is about a big yellow octopus. It's a big yellow octopus who has decimated a good chunk of the moon, has come to Earth and has told the government that he will destroy the Earth unless they are able to kill him. So he gives a certain amount of time, I think it's a year, and while he's waiting out the time that he is given, he has decided to teach this class of quote-unquote delinquent students. Basically, this class of students, a majority of them have a hard time getting good grades. Whether that be the way that they're learning just doesn't mesh with them, or they just can't wrap their head around it type of thing. They just can't get good grades. That's a good majority of the kids that are in this class. Then you've got, your problem children. There are a few kids in the class that are that. But because our big yellow octopus, who gets named Koro Sensei, is teaching them, these are the people that are seeing him for a good majority of the time. So this class has been tasked to try to take out Koro Sensei by the time they graduate from middle school. I think they're in their last year of middle school. And so there's a lot of comedy in this because while Koro Sensei is trying to teach them things, these kids are trying to kill them. That's their objective, is to kill Koro Sensei, because if they don't, the world will end. And so it is a little bit comical. I mean, when you think about the overall ramifications of what's going on, it's kind of serious. I mean, the world could end if these kids aren't able to kill Koro Sensei. But while, we're at the beginning of this series and we're just getting to know all of the kids and what's going on in the world and seeing how they come up with ideas and ways to try to kill this creature who has superhuman speeds, can travel up to Mach 50 or something, is very, very fast, has a great sense of smell, and things like that. It gets to be comical because he'll often be the teacher and try to correct them in why their attempt to kill them didn't work, which some of the things that they try and some of the things that they think up are, pretty smart, I would say. But on the back part of this, there's this story about Koro Sensei actually teaching these kids. You get a lot of scenes of that in just these first 2 volumes. And so there's a little bit of a heartwarming element. And you can actually see that Koro Sensei is very interested in the growth of the kids that he's teaching. And I just really, really enjoyed these 2 volumes. I remembered everything that happened from watching it in the anime. I didn't remember, when you read something a long time ago and you're revisiting it, or you see something a long time ago and you revisit it, you kind of lose the timeline. And so there were a lot of things in these 2 volumes where I thought, didn't that come up much later? And it just may be that my first experience with this series was watching the anime. So when you animate things, it does take a lot longer for things to show up because you can only fit so much into one episode. So I think that's where I'm having the blurred timeline. But I really enjoyed revisiting this class. I enjoyed revisiting this series. And I am looking forward to continuing it with my manga club. But that being said, I did tell you that I never finished the anime. And there's a reason for that. And that reason still remains to this day. But because I'm reading this series with my manga club, I will have to complete the series. So I'm kind of not looking forward to that. But on the same token, I am, because I do really want to see how this is all going to end up. And so, yes, really enjoyed these volumes, gave them both 4 stars, and I'm looking forward to continuing to revisit and discuss these volumes with my members. So I am reading the volumes on the Shonen Jump app. So if you have a subscription, please feel free to join us and discuss with us either on our Discord, or there should be a new feature, a new series on my channel, where my daughter and I are going to discuss our thoughts on the volumes together. And so if you're interested in reading along with us that way, you can listen to our thoughts on that. Should be up. The first episode should be up before the end of the month. We have yet to record our conversation on that, but we will definitely be doing that. And it's going to be something like the chapter by chapter that I used to run with the Book One Cozies Club in the final year that I held that book club. But it's going to be manga focused. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. And yeah, really, really interested in continuing with this one. I have not read past volume 2. And so volumes 3 to however long this series is going to be new reads for me, even though I have, like I said, seen the anime. So looking forward to experiencing the manga for the first time next month. And so that is everything that I have finished in the last week. I am in the middle of 2 reads. I was hoping to be done with one of these this week, but I had a few meetings this week and they all took up a bunch of time, and then I had to do something else during one of my lunch breaks, and so I wasn't able to have my audiobook time for the week. And so My audiobook for the week is Ghoul Interrupted. This is the one that I was hoping to be done with this week, but you can see that I'm only about halfway done. I thought I was further along than that, but I am listening to this entirely on audiobook right now. As we get closer to the end, I may just go ahead and pick up the physical copy. This is the 6th book in the Ghost Hunter Mystery series by Victoria Laurie. So this follows our ghost hunters, MJ, who's a psychic medium, her best friend Gilly, and Heath, who is also a psychic medium. And in this volume, Heath's uncle has passed away, and so they headed to the reservation, because Heath is Native American, to pay their last respects and things like that. And they end up finding out that there is something not quite right with the way that Heath's uncle passed. And then as they're there, more things start to happen. I'm really enjoying my reread of this one. I don't remember this one too much. There are a couple in this series that really stick out in my mind. On a whole, and I know I've said this a lot of times, on a whole, this is one of my favorite series in general. Like, I enjoy every single installment in this series. Now, I will say that the very first installment is probably my least favorite installment in this series. But from books 2 through 10, I really enjoy all of them. Books 5 and I think 7 are probably my most favorite volumes. But I don't remember this one too much. And I will say that as I am rereading this one, I am finding more enjoyment out of it than I remember enjoying it when I read it the first time. And so I'm really enjoying this one. I'm hoping to be done with this one the next time I talk to you. That should happen. And so, yes. And I will probably jump right into the next one because, like I said, the 7th one is one of my favorites. And so, yes, really looking forward to that one. And so, yes, I'm hoping to get this one done. And then I was finally able to pick up Bungo Stray Dogs Volume 2 in the light novel again, by Kafka Asagiri and illustrations by Songo Arakawa. This is Osamu Dazai and the Dark Era. So this is a light novel that's a prequel to the Bungo Stray Dogs anime and manga series, where Osamu Dazai is still part of the Port Mafia. And this story is supposed to tell us why Osamu Dazai decided to move over to the Armed Detective Agency instead. Now, this has been a very slow-going read for me. If I wasn't invested in the Bungo Stray Dogs anime and manga series, I probably would have DNF'd it. This is moving so slow for me. All in all, I do think by the end of this is going to be a 3-star read. So now I hear you asking me why I'm still continuing to read this after everything that I've been saying about DNFing more and not wanting to have so many 3-star reads. And the simple answer to that is I'm very invested in the anime and manga of the series. And I really want to know why Dazai decided to move from the Port Mafia to the Armed Detective Agency. That's the simplest answer there is. And so in order to know that, I need to read this volume. I am having a little bit of a hard time with the POV in this as well, because the POV is not from Dazai. It's from a character named Odasaku, who is another Port Mafia member. And so I'm kind of having a little bit of confusion as to why a story about why Dazai moved from the Port Mafia to the Armed Detective Agency is coming from someone who's not like Dazai. But, you know, it's interesting. Things are finally heating up. Here's some illustration for you. So that's Dazai. I think that's Akutagawa, but it's a little hard to tell. I could be mistaken, but I think that's Akutagawa. And then you've got the characters that we're dealing with here. So we've got Dazai here, Odasaku, who's actually Sakunosuke Oda, And then we've got Ango Sakaguchi. And so, yeah, these are kind of the main characters that we're dealing with in this volume. So I'm really enjoying what I'm reading at the moment because things are really heating up. Something was just like revealed in the last few pages, and there's some fighting. And like I said before, when there's fighting, things seem to move faster. I am here, so maybe I should put it this way. So this is the beginning. So I'm here. I only got a little bit left. I just need to actually pick this up and read it. I've been very tired lately, and so there have been nights where I just get into bed and I just like go straight to sleep. I normally, right before bed is my reading time, but I haven't had that the last couple nights. And a lot of that has to do with the next thing that I'm going to share with you. So yeah, I think this is going to end up a 3-star. I'm hoping to finish this next week as well. I do need to read this as part of my Rotating Decks TBR game. So yes, I'm enjoying this, but I think it's still going to end up a 3-star. And I'm hoping to find out why Dazai ended up moving to the Armed Detective Agency within the next week. So let's hope that that happens. Let's hope that I finish both of the books that I'm currently in the middle of, and I have something new and fresh to share with you next week. But it is time for another Yarnie update. So Yarnie update is the name of the episodes I used to use for my knitting channel, which is still up. I've changed the name to Disis19's Yarnie updates. All of my knitting content I had put on that channel. There was a time where YouTube the audience for YouTube didn't want to have multiple types of things from creators on one channel. And so I kept all of my reading on this channel and I put all of my knitting on that other channel. But in the last couple years, I think the audience has changed. At least I feel that way, that audiences are more inclined to see what the person they're watching is into. Not just, for me, books, but also the knitting, and things like that. And so I started combining everything all together. Now, that being said, over the last year or so, my knitting mojo has not been great. But since I started the Rainbow Ring, I do feel like my knitting mojo is coming back. So there should be a lot more knitting content. And so if you are one of those people who is also a subscriber over at my Yarnie Updates channel, I'm starting to do shorts on that channel that link back to these diary entries. So just like real brief summaries of the knitting content only, and then it links to this video. And so, yeah, that's what I've decided to do because I really didn't want to leave that channel to collect dust. And I thought this would be the best way to let subscribers there know that I do have knitting content to share, but it's just not going to be on that channel anymore. And I really don't want to upload the same video on that channel also, which I've done a couple of times, but no, it takes too long to upload to YouTube nowadays. But I mean, pretty much any yarn podcast, I would say, that I watch include not only knitting anymore, but they also talk about the books and TV shows that they're watching as well. It's just in a different order. They'll usually do the knitting content and then books and then TV shows, or knitting content, TV shows, and books. I'm just doing it in an opposite way. So I'm doing books first, then knitting, and then, TV shows or whatever. And so it's pretty much the same thing. But I didn't want to let that channel wither. And so I think doing the shorts is a way to let people know that, I do have some knitting content. And even if they don't want to watch the whole section, they can just see the little highlights. And so, yeah, I think that's probably the best idea for me. I'm going to try to do that for the next few months and see. But yeah, in any case, the Yarnie update. So I have a new knitting bag here. So this is the Nutcracker bag, sweater bag from Stitching the High Notes. This was one of her holiday releases in 2023. And so my new project, that's right, you heard me say new project, is in this bag. And so before I open the bag, I'm going to show you this little tag. So when I was watching my friend Vanessa over at the Crafty Planty Life podcast, she had done a series of end of year type videos where she did like a whip parade for knitting and cross stitch. And then she did like a knitting goals video. In one of those videos, she had mentioned that she had these like tag type things on her project bags to let her know what was in the bag. And then she could like write little notes and things on start dates or little things that she needed to remember, whatever, onto the tags so that when, she was going through the bags, she could see, or if she had a note there, she could refer to it or whatever. And so I thought, you know what, that's a great idea, because 9 out of 10 times I forget that I do a modification and then I put the project to the side and I forget what modification I did, or I forget to log it into Ravelry and I forget what date that I started or what date I finished, what needle sizes I used. And so I thought that was a great idea. So I bought these. They're like plastic ID tag thingies, which keeps the notes waterproof. And they're a little bit more like solid so that the note doesn't get all bust up. But they also came with these like plastic things to help you attach it to your project. And so I picked up some of these. Thanks for the tip, Vanessa. I will be sending you some of these with your next Happy Mail. And so, yeah, I am really, really enjoying this. And I've already written down a few notes for this project. But basically in this bag is my daughter's Pure Fuzz. So I told you that I was going to cast on my daughter's Pure Fuzz after I bound off the body of my rainbow rings. And so the rainbow rings is on hold for right now. I am working her Pure Fuzz, just as a reminder, in Knit Picks Wonder Fluff. This is a bulky weight yarn in Willie's Heather is the colorway, 142 yards, 50 grams. The Wonder Fluff is 70% baby alpaca, 23% nylon, and 7% merino wool. So this is a single ply bulky yarn. It is very, very light, and it's got a little bit of a halo. And so I am working her Pure Fuzz by Skeindeer. This was a free pattern that I got for being a part of her newsletter, or signing up for her newsletter. And so this is where I'm at. So this one, it works up back and forth in the beginning. So you don't have the ribbed neckline. You start working the back and forth on the like neckline and the shoulder shaping, sleeve shaping, until you reach a certain point, and then you join for the round, and then you go back and you do the ribbing for the neck. And so what I ended up doing, because I only have a certain amount of yarn and I want this sweater to be longer than it's written, because this is written to be a cropped sweater and my daughter doesn't do cropped sweaters, I decided to go up until the sleeve separation and then do the sleeves and then do the neckline. So I did a lot. This is where I'm at. So I've got one sleeve, I've got two sleeves, and I've got my neckline. So I did go ahead and put this in after the fact. So I did the two sleeves first, and then I went and I put in the ribbed neck. This is a really, really nice feeling sweater. It is super light. This is the first time that I've done a sweater that was constructed this way, where you work back and forth and then you connect to the round and then you go back and you add in your neckline. I will say that picking up the neckline was pretty fidgety for me. I had a really rough time with that, and I'm going to have to like put this, run this down this way because it keeps popping up. But very happy with this so far. This is a size 1. It's the smallest size that's available on the pattern, but this is going to be super oversized sweater for my daughter. And so, yeah, right now I am just going round and round on the body. I've got about 2 or 3 inches on the body right now. I've gone through 2 and some skeins. So I used 1 full ball when I was working to the sleeve separation, and then I used a partial ball to get to the sleeve separation. And then I used most of a new ball for the first sleeve, and then a partial ball and the rest of the previous ball for the sleeve. And then I did the neckline, and then this is what I have left. So I am like, I would say like on my 3rd ball in total, probably. And then I have 2 more balls. So I think I'm good. I think we're going to be good for the length. What I'm probably going to do is go through the ball that I'm currently working on. I'm going to go through the 2 full balls that I've got and then use this for the ribbing. I should have enough for the ribbing, I think. It depends on how long we get on the very last ball. But that's my plan so far. So I've just been going round and round and round. It's been a very, very easy knit besides the neckline. I think that was the hardest for me. Was just getting this neckline picked up. Especially because the yarn is so dark. I had to use a really, really bright light to see. And the way that the neckline picked up for me was not in the same numbers that it said in the pattern. So I actually ended up picking up less stitches around the back, and I ended up picking up more stitches around the front in order to make the number of total stitches picked up around the same as what matched on the pattern. So a little bit fiddly. I think when I do mine, it'll be much easier because my yarn is not black. My yarn is more of a burgundy color, and so it should be a lot easier to see what's going on. But still, I think this is going to be really, really nice. Yeah, this is small for me, but it'll be much oversized for the daughter. Another thing that I did different was on the sleeve. I was supposed to decrease down to 32 stitches, and that would have made the sleeve like really, really too long. And so I decreased down to 36 stitches, and at that length I took a measurement, and it was the perfect length for my daughter's arm. And then I went ahead and did the ribbing. And so, yeah, I am enjoying this project. I'm really enjoying this project. It's very easy for me to do while we are watching Yowamushi Pedal, which we're watching in Japanese, and, you know, there's subtitles that need to be read. And because I am knitting this English style instead of continental, it's making it a lot easier for me to work on this project while we're doing that, because I don't have to look at my knitting when I'm knitting in English style. When I'm doing continental, though, I do have to look at my knitting because I tend to miss loops all the time. And so, yeah, really enjoying this project. Super easy project. Really, really light sweater. Like, it practically weighs nothing. And it just feels really nice. And so I'm really looking forward to finishing this and seeing how it looks on my daughter. But, yes, very, very nice. And I highly recommend this Wonder Fluff. It has not broken for me. I'm not having any kind of breaking issues with this yarn. It is very, very nice to touch, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. So that is what I've knit on this week. That's the only thing I've knit on. I've put in lots of hours onto that project, and it's just one of those projects that, I don't know, it's taking up a lot of my interest at the moment, and it's the only thing that I really want to knit on right now. So that is my Yarnie update for the week. I mentioned we were watching Hiromu Pedal, and we're almost done with the 5th season. We've got like 4 episodes left. So maybe I will alternate to the Rainbow Ring this week and finally get that first sleeve cast back on and start doing a little bit of work on that. I do work that one continental though, so I can't be watching Japanese subtitled or anime that's subtitled because it's in Japanese audio while I work that one, or at least not while I get that one back on the needles. It does take me a little bit of concentration because, you know, you got to pick up the stitches to close the gaps in the underarm and things like that. So those first few rounds is a little bit more concentration heavy, but maybe I'll be able to alternate back to the Rainbow Ring and at least put in a little bit of work on the sleeve this week. We shall see. I did get my yarn subscription, the Kindred Spirits yarn subscription. This is a bi-monthly yarn subscription. So this was my December-January colorway, I think. I got another like packet with the information inside. So this was, yeah, December-January color. So this is an Anne of Green Gables inspired yarn club. And so most of the things that we get are inspired by the books or the characters or the places that Anne of Green Gables takes place in. And so this says the colorway for the month is Evergreen. And it says a little more about the Anne of Green Gables inspired colorway I created for you. I wanted this edition of the Kindred Spirits Yarn Club to feel like a fir tree and a cool spearmint breeze all at once. Part holiday celebration, but not a holiday colorway, and part cold, fresh winter. Most of the time, I am inspired by a particular quote or character in the Anne of Green Gables series, but this time I wanted to make a color that would reflect the evergreen name of the books themselves. They are just as enjoyable as when they were published at the turn of the 20th century. I hope you like it. So it says her mood board and final colorway are on Instagram, and then she's got her like color dots here. And so the yarn is very pretty. It looks like this. So that's Kindred's, the Little Skein and the Big Wool, which is where the Kindred Spirits Yarn Club is from. In her cashmere blend, that is the blend that all of the club colorways come in. You don't get a choice anymore. When I first started getting this club, I got it in the regular like sock. So I think it was a 75-25 merino nylon. So now it's 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. 420 yards, 115 grams. And this is evergreen. And she actually tells you, or she did, this one doesn't say, but it usually says down here what year or months the colorway was for. But this is the colorway. Very, very nice. I believe this was supposed to be like a sister colorway to the last club selection, which was Depths of Despair, which is a much more blue leaning teal. This is much more of a green leaning teal. Very, very nice. And so, yeah, that is my yarn club for the month. I need to like go through because I am sure I can pick out a few fades of the yarn clubs that I have gotten. I've only used a couple of them. Most recently, I used them in the Comfort Fade Cardi that I did from Andrea Mowry. I used some of the pink leaning colorways and a purple one in that one. And I wore the Comfort Fade Cardi last week in my Disis19 Diaries, but this is the type of color that calls to me. Probably more Depths of Despair than this one, but they're in the same like color family. And so, yeah, I'm going to need to like go through and see and then find a project that really speaks to me for these colors. And so, yeah, very, very happy with the Kindred Spirits Yarn Club. I think I've been a member for like 3 or 4 years, and I've really enjoyed all of the skeins that I have gotten. I just haven't used them. I've just been like collecting them. So if you've got any like suggestions for patterns that could use a fade, that I could use like maybe like a 4-color fade or something, that would be great. I know there are a couple of t-shirt patterns out there where people have done fades on them. And so I've been looking at a couple. One of them's from Wool and Pine. And that's the only one that's really on the top of my mind at the moment. But yeah, if you have a suggestion for a faded like shirt or even like a sweater, fingering weight sweater, that would work too. I'm just not sure. I've got all of these gorgeous colors and I don't know what to use them for, but yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to share with you today. So let me know down in the comments below what you've been reading, what you've been watching, what you've been working on. I would really love to know. And if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a, I don't know, dinosaur emoji for my dinosaur sweater today, that would be greatly appreciated and it would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.